Thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank this committee for focusing on this important topic. I've been working in this area for 25 years, because of recent trends in the economy, the condition of less educated men in the United States has really become a mainstream issue. But I would like to say that the disproportionate impact of the current recession on the labor market prospects of young men has become, we know that the increase in unemployment rates among men was 47% higher than the increase in unemployment rates among women during the Great Recession. However, the labor market outcomes of less educated men have been declining for some time. Between 1979 and 2007, the earnings of employed high school graduates declined by 18%. High school graduates declined by 30%. The earnings of those with some college declined by 17%. And the only men who have experienced any substantial increases in their earnings are men who have gone to graduate school. Even those who graduated from college experiences increase in earnings in this period of only 2%. So we're stuck in a period of declining earnings for men, and the consequences have been obvious. In the first place, we've had increases in non-marital births that have been steady since the 1960s and 1970s. We've had declines in marriage and the consequent increases in non-marital births. My research is focused on the consequences of these declines in men's labor market conditions on families. In the mid-1990s, I coined a phrase called fragile families to underscore the reality that these are vulnerable family arrangements in which these young men are involved. First, they are families. They're not simply casual relationships. Most unmarried parents are in a romantic relationship at the time of the birth of their child. 51% of them are cohabiting, and 31% of them are romantically involved. Second, they are fragile. They are at greater risk of being in poverty than more traditional families, and their relationships dissolve rather rapidly over time. I've worked over the last 15 years to build a body of research on these families so that we constitute our understanding of what single-parent families are really about. At the time of the birth, most parents are romantically involved and have high hopes of getting married. Most, however, are not able to establish stable unions, and they dissolve over time. By the time these children are 5 years old, from studies that have been funded by NICHD, 1/3 of the fathers are still living with their children. About half of the non-resident fathers have seen their children in the last month. New partnerships bringing new children are common, leading to high levels of instability and complexity. Although most unwed fathers spend considerable time with their children in the first years of life, in part because they're living with them, as cohabiting and romantic partnerships dissolves, father involvement declines. Therefore, economic and family trends are driving the increase in both non-marital births and non-resident fathers. While non-resident fathers spend more, resident fathers, those who are married and cohabiting, spend more time with their children than non-resident fathers. Previous studies have vastly underestimated the degree to which involvement of unmarried fathers, even though they're non-resident, are involved with their children. But by the time these children are 5 years old, half of the fathers saw their child at least once in the past month, and about a quarter saw their child several times a week. So we are wrestling with a huge mythology that non-married, unresident fathers are not involved with their children. They are highly involved, and the question is this glass half empty or is it half full, and what are we going to do about it? The research really shows, however, that fathers are involved with their children in some complex ways. We don't have good evidence on the effects of low-income father involvement on the broad dimensions of child well-being. The large-scale studies have mixed results. Some suggest that the results are good, some suggest that the results are bad. In part, the problem is that these studies have not focused on the lowest-income fathers that we are concerned about in this committee. Fortunately, there are new studies that have actually done parent-child interaction observations on the children in Head Start. And they show that the involvement of less educated fathers in the lives of children has positive impacts on cognitive development, on language skills, on social development, whether or not the fathers are married and whether or not they are resident with their children. There is also a Department of Education study that was funded in 1997 that shows that there are positive impacts on the involvement of men in the lives of children, even though, again, some of these fathers are non-resident. I want to close by trying to answer Mr. Bustani's question. We do have sound evidence on the effectiveness of responsible fatherhood programs on the proportion of fathers who pay child support. We have about 20 years of research from 5 multi-site studies, only one by random assignment. But these studies consistently show that by educating fathers about child support, supporting them in their interactions with the system, helping them getting their child support orders modified, these programs increase the fractions of fathers who pay anything, although they don't increase the amount that are paid because they're not getting good jobs. I want to close by saying there should be no doubt in your minds that we should continue and expand the support around responsible fatherhood programs. And I have a great deal of confidence in the new Commissioner, Vicki Turetsky, and in David Hansel, who have worked and labored in this field for a long time. And so as we go forward, I look forward to your questions and comments, and thank you again for inviting me.